Welcome to the Mastering Business Skills podcast, where we interview successful small business owners who share their own journey, mastering the skills they needed to grow and be successful in their business. Learn the struggles, the wins, and all the things they learned along the way, so you can cut down on your own learning curve.
Welcome to Mastering Business Skills. Today we're talking with Alison Simmons, the founder and CEO of Lead Smarter Co. and the creator of the seven-figure CEO system, a framework that's designed for overwhelmed entrepreneurs and small business owners who want to lead with clarity and scale with strategy by leveraging the power of AI so that they can build a business that they love without torching their personal life in the process. Welcome to the show, Alison.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to finally be here.
Third time the charm. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what inspired you to start your business.
Yeah, so I actually did online business management services for a couple of years. And I found that when ChatGPT came out, I was dabbling in it. And I was doing a lot of client work with it, doing it the same way a lot of other people do it with AI, right? Creating content, writing emails, captions, all the things. But because part of my online business management services is strategy, I was discovering that what my clients really needed from me was something that was a little bit more elevated and a little more different. And so it actually, what the pinnacle moment was when I had a client come to me. She was running a membership and she was struggling with retention. She was getting a lot of cancellations. And she had heard an Alex Hermosi YouTube video, or watched a YouTube video, I should say, and it was all about client retention. And the company that he was doing the case study on was a completely different business model. The target audience he was referring to was an entirely different target audience, but the problem was the same. Lots of cancellations within the first 30 days. She sends me this YouTube video and she's like, hey, figure out what Alex Hermosi did for this company that's completely unrelated to mine, but apply the same principles to my problem. And I was like, okay. And so I took it to ChatGPT. I transcribed the video, took it to ChatGPT, and I was like, hey, can you read this transcript, channel your inner Alex Hermosi, and create a framework for what he did for this company? And it did it. It popped out this excellent framework, step by step, what he put this company through. And I said, great, make that framework generic that can apply to any company. And so it did. And I was like, great, here's my client, her business, her target audience, her very specific pain points that she needs solved, her limitations, all the things. Apply that framework to my client. And within, I would say, less than 2 hours from start to finish, I had a 7-step strategy that I went back to my client with and said, this is exactly how we're going to fix your client retention problem. And her mind was blown. I was fully transparent. I was like, hey, I used AI. She's like, I don't care. You did what I didn't know how to do. We implemented it over a period of 5 months. We doubled her membership. And it was the moment that I was like, oh my gosh, AI can do so much more than people are using it for.
Yeah.
And then because I'm a strategist, my mind exploded. And that was what just kind of spawned all the things. And I was still just doing it internally for my clients and then dropping nuggets here and there, like on coffee chats and in networking events. And people were like, what? You can do what? How? And that's what inspired me to start actually teaching it through webinars and workshops. And then that launched me into a whole new business. And I went from being a personal brand as an online business manager to Lead Smarter Co., where I am now literally teaching people how to use AI to manage their business better.
Awesome.
I love that.
I
I love
do
that you took that too, because I come from that operations side of things. And yeah, I was slow to come into AI. I was kind of like, I don't know. And then I did like what we all do. And when you first start and you're just like the generic,
Right.
help me write this or help me do this or whatever. But I have done a couple not the strategy like you're doing, but like more like the outlines, maybe it's outline a webinar or something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, and it amazes me how well it comes out where, obviously you're tweaking, you're reviewing, you're tweaking, you're changing things because you can't just rely on it to be
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Perfect. Mhm.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, it's extremely time saving, and I feel like it saves that like brain space so that you can focus on
Yes.
like what you should be focused on versus like the whole creation and the laying it all out.
Right.
Yeah. And the next level of that is when you get to a point where rather than, I mean, I could have just gone to ChatGPT and said, hey, I've got a client and she's struggling. These are her problems. Help me come up with client retention ideas, right? Like that's fine. And that's a lot of people are using AI as a
Yeah.
brainstorming buddy, generate more ideas. But when you actually start using it strategically,
Right.
that's when you're saying, I have a proven framework for a webinar that I know nails it every time. Here's my information. Create a webinar within this proven framework.
Right.
And then now we've just created a webinar strategically rather than just used AI to create a webinar. And it's a slight difference on the front end, but a huge difference on the back end of those results that you get that much faster.
Right. Right. I agree. Even from the tech side that I do, AI, I don't think people understand how fully that they can use AI. It's not, and that was, that was kind of my first when AI came out. It's like, oh, so that's going to replace everybody with AI,
Right.
and then once I kind of started getting into it and I was like, okay, so it can do the simple stuff. Great. Let's see how far we can take that. And
Yeah.
so the more you play around with it, the more I think that it speaks like you and thinks like you, but you
Mhm.
still have your own input and things to go with it. So yeah.
Right. It's all about amplifying rather than replacing.
Right.
And the people that are using it to replace them, you can tell, right? You can tell which blog posts and website copy and emails are super generic. That's fine. But I would even say that I feel like even still just using it to create content in your voice, like, yeah, you're one level up, but you're still scratching the surface of what AI can be doing when it comes to using it strategically to actually improve your business and the way you're implementing things. A lot of people I also run into are like, well, AI automation. And I'm like, yes, AI automation is fantastic. But if you spend all your time building out automations with AI and replacing low-level people in your business, well, you're not going to have anybody that knows your business well enough to then promote, So for a solopreneur, that's great. But for an agency owner, now you've got no one at the beginner
Right.
level. Better to
Right.
teach them how to use AI, and then they can use AI to do those tasks faster, right? And then they know your business and they're growing. So it's one of those things where I've seen a lot of companies that are trying to implement AI. I actually read this in someone else's LinkedIn post. I don't take credit for this, but it was brilliant. He said the problem with companies, big or small or solopreneurs, is when they say, "Let's use AI and do this," as opposed to saying, "I want to do this. How can I do it with AI?" Like AI can't be the
Right.
strategy. You have to
Mhm.
have a strategy and then implement it with AI in the smart way. Therefore, you're not overly generic AI. Like you're still staying personal. You still have human beings in the mix where they belong. And so
Right.
it's just a different perspective as to how you approach AI when you do it that way. And it prevents FOMO. If I'm constantly thinking, how can I grow my business suited towards me? And then I'm like, oh, AI can do that for me? That's awesome. As opposed to being like, oh my gosh, I'm not using AI enough. I got to figure out how to use AI to stay relevant.
Tell
Very.
us a little bit more about like how you create those bots and stuff, and like what and this is Sharon might have a little bit more idea on this than I do because she's the techie one and I am
Mhm.
not. So like I started with like, my free version of ChatGPT, and then I went to the paid version and I was like, okay, like I have more that I can do, and I've tried various different avenues of AI, and some are really good and others are awful.
Not right.
So
So
yeah, so
I
how do
will
you go
say
about
this.
that?
I am a ChatGPT diehard because they're the original gangster,
Yes.
right? Start with the OG. I am not saying that Perplexity and Claude and Gemini are not great. I just have never used them. So I don't know. And honestly, I
Yeah.
don't care because ChatGPT does what I need to do.
Yes.
So when it comes to creating your own personal bots to solve your own pain points, though, there are people that will teach you how to create custom GPTs in a very specific framework, step-by-step way, which ironically, as an operations person who loves workflows, I don't do it like that at all. It's very organic. I will go into ChatGPT and I like 4.0. So they upgraded to 5, which is the thinking model. If you are doing research, data, 5 is your best friend. But if you want something that sounds more human and feels more human, go back to the legacy model of 4.0. I will literally start telling ChatGPT, like this morning, this is the problem that my client is having. Here's what I know about the information or about the situation. Here's what I don't know. Let's talk about it. Like, how could this work? And I start having a conversation with ChatGPT about it. And then I'm like, okay, great. Now I've got some ideas. Now I have these are the 3 phases that I want you to walk me through. And I'll give it an overview. I'm like, all right, let's work on phase 1. Let's create their speaker profile. Exactly what does that need to look like? What has to be in it? And then we interact. And then I'm like, great, create the exact custom GPT instructions I need to do what we just discussed. And it creates them. And then in a second window, I go create that GPT. And then I interact with it to get it and tweak it and make the instructions exactly how I want until I get the output. Then I went back to that original conversation and I was like, great, this bot's now created. Okay, phase 2, I want to do this. And all I do is keep talking to ChatGPT as if I were talking to another human being about what I want. And it keeps feeding it back to me and we play with it. I just keep tweaking it. Sometimes it comes together very quickly, depending on the complexity of the bot. It could be very quick. 30 minutes later, I've got it. We're done. This one's taken me a little over 2 hours and I'm not done yet because, well, number one, I'm a bit, methodical, but I'm doing it for a client. I'm like, I want this to be perfect. And you know what? She'll probably use it and be like, Alison, I know you don't know a lot about speakers. Let me tell you what you're missing. And that's fine. But yeah, so for me, I create custom GPTs extremely organically, literally by having a conversation with ChatGPT. Oftentimes, I'll even say this. Usually what will happen is I will use ChatGPT to do something, and then I'll be like, well, that was cool. If I want to do that again, I just want ChatGPT to already have all the information. And I'll be like, quick, write me instructions. And then I'm off and running. The other thing that I have learned, people are really fussy about prompt engineering and they get really worked up about it because it is a thing. Prompt engineering is important. The beauty of creating your own custom GPT specific to your business is that you don't have to prompt anymore. The GPT prompts you. Like if you've done it right, it asks you for the information. You've already got, like I said earlier, that framework built into the GPT. So it just cranks out the result and you're off and running.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. It's totally awesome. And I saw something once, somebody was saying, yeah, you don't have to take and tell ChatGPT all of these things. You just don't talk a whole lot to it. Don't give it a lot of specifics. And I'm like, excuse me? No, you have to give them specifics. I mean,
yeah.
and that's when I use ChatGPT, it's like I try to think of it that maybe it's just me being weird, but I try to think of it that I'm sitting in a room talking with another person and I'm saying please and thank you.
That's me too.
I mean, am I the only
You're
one that
all
does
worried the
that?
bots are going to take over the world.
That makes me feel better because okay, so what you just said, that is always in my head is if the robots take over the world, I want them to remember that I was polite when I asked first.
They just know you're the ones that are going to perform the fastest. They're coming for you. They're
But
coming.
I do. I always say, please create or please do this or,
Right.
thank you or, something like that. Because I try to think of it in my head that I'm actually talking to a person.
Yeah.
Even that I'm like when Erin and I text, it's like I try to frame it in my mind that I'm actually having a conversation.
Right.
And I need to give it as much detail as I would another human being.
Let me give you a little bit different perspective. Not that you shouldn't say please and thank you. However, think of ChatGPT like a 6-year-old. A 6-year-old that wants to do your bidding, right? However, the 6-year-old needs lots of information. I can't just say, hey, 6-year-old, go clean the bathroom. No, I need to tell the 6-year-old, here's the cleaning products you're going to use. Here's what you're going to do first.
Right.
Here's what you're going to do next. Make sure you throw this out after you've touched the toilet, right? Like I have to be specific. And I can't expect that it 100% of the time is going to do it exactly right. It's going to go rogue and I'm going to have to bring it back and I'm going to have to correct it. And I'm going to have to be direct. And so while it's very important to give it all the information, it's also very important to give it specific directives. This is the result I want by the end of this conversation. Let's walk through how to get there. You know what I mean? That's kind
Right.
of when you think of it like you're talking to a 6-year-old, of course you're still going to be polite, but you're also going to remain in that authoritative role.
Right.
I'm telling you what I want. Because how many times, and people have said this, ChatGPT will lie. It'll like say, yeah, I can do that. Sure, I already did that. And you're like, no, you didn't. Check
Right.
yourself, right? And so it's that kind of thing where like, don't go off on your own. You got to do what I say. Obey.
Or the hallucinations where you're like, where did that come from?
Right. Right.
Or what do you say, Sarah? Is that actually what was said? Is that factual? Well, no, not entirely.
Oh yeah, always asking if you're doing anything that's regarding research, always asking for direct sources, making sure. Yeah, because like a 6-year, isn't that just a 6-year-old though? Well, we're doing this in my class. Is that what your teacher said you're doing? Is that the teacher's expectations? Or are you just making that up?
Yeah.
So, yeah, totally. It's a 6-year-old. Think of it that way, and you will do much better at knowing how to talk to it in a personal way that's also very clear and directive.
That's a great analogy because, in a sense, ChatGPT is always learning just like a 6-year-old is. So you're feeding them the information and they're learning from that as well.
Yeah.
So that's a great analogy. I love that.
And I would even say the other thing that I've learned when wanting feedback, because I mean, how many times have we gotten oh, Alison, that's the chef's kiss. That's the best idea that ever happened. Like, ChatGPT's your biggest cheerleader. And you're like, listen, I know I'm awesome. I'm not that awesome. Okay. Like, come on. So when I am asking for feedback, example, like I will come up with an offer and then I'll call in my ideal client avatar bot. And I'll say to my bot, her name is Sarah, I'll be like, hey, Sarah, I want you to review this offer that I just came up with. What do you like? What do you not like? And do you think that the value matches the price point? Why or why not? Right? Like you need to ask it to go back and forth. And then I was doing that and I discovered that it was always giving me things to improve. And I'm like, do I really need to improve that? Or are you just saying that because I said, what do you not like? And it wanted to obey me. So then I started saying, don't just give me answers to answer the questions. Actually think like my ideal client.
Yeah.
What would she say? And then it got a little bit better about giving me real feedback rather than just trying to even make me happy with the negative stuff. You know what I mean? So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we talk about mastering business skills. What's the one skill that you've mastered that you can share with the audience now, and maybe they can start to learn or implement from that?
I would say it's getting really good at thinking about how can AI solve this problem, right? And so it doesn't sound like a skill, but it really is because it's the way you think about problem solving. So maybe that's the skill. Problem solving skills are ultimately what it is. And that kind of comes from my math and physics background where all you ever do is have problems in front of you. But taking AI and literally just saying to it, here's my problem, walk me through step by step how we can solve this problem together. And that would be a skill that I think anybody can really master with the help of AI is the problem solving.
Awesome. Awesome. So what's next for your business?
Oh, I'm so excited you asked that. So I launched my 7-figure CEO program just a couple of months ago. And it's funny, I didn't mean to get back into doing one-on-one stuff. I had decided I closed down the implementation services of my online business management over the summer, 100%. And I had some people ask me if I would do builds for them. Like, will you build us these agents? Will you build us these bots? And I toyed with it. But then I decided no, I really don't want to do that. I don't want to build for people. I teach people how to build for themselves while building with them. And so I discovered that I had people that, yeah, they loved the idea of the program, but they didn't want to spend 12 weeks. They didn't want all the bells and whistles. They just wanted me, my time, solve my problem. And so I launched what I call the AI Founder Sprint, which is now they're one-on-one coaching and creation sessions where I literally create with you on the computer. And I'm like, hey, Sharon, go click on this button. Now I want you to click on that button. Now I want you to type in these words. And you're doing it and I'm guiding you through it so that then next time you're like, okay, well, based on what I learned last time, what can I figure out? And I had a woman, her name is Jessica. After 2 sessions, she gets on her 3rd session with me and she's like, let me show you everything I've created since our last call. And she's like showing me all this stuff. And I was like, girl, you don't even need me. Like you've just totally surpassed. So that was something that was very unexpected. And so I'm actually really pumped because I didn't ever think of myself as a coach. Like I'm a teacher, but
Right.
now I'm moving into this kind of coaching realm, which is really, really exciting. So, yeah, so that and then beyond that, I'm even hoping to license my program and get it into
Oh,
school
sweet.
systems, get it into chambers of commerce, get it into, associations that have business owners that need this at a larger scale that I could never serve that many people at once. But if I license the program, they can buy into it. So that's on the 2026 docket is licensing.
Oh,
Oh, I
sweet.
love that.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
So
That is
Yes.
awesome.
very excited.
Yes. And so you have free AI tools and templates, right, on your site?
I do. So I've actually slimmed it down ever so slightly. The current freebie that I'm offering, because people need a taste of what it's like to use AI strategically, is called the
Okay.
CEO Time Audit. And it is a bot that literally helps you walk through your calendar from last week. It's not theoretical. The bot is like, hey, get out your calendar and either screenshot it and upload or walk me through what was on your calendar this week. Let's audit whether or not you were proactive and reactive. And then how can we fix where you're doing things that you don't want to be doing, but you need to do versus things you never should have done, but you felt obligated to do. And it coaches them through setting up their weeks to be more proactive than reactive so that next week they can do a better job.
Cool.
Ooh.
I need to seriously go look at this.
I was just going to say, I need to go get that.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, and then that's the, almost the teaser, right? And then when someone joins my program, then we move into actually saying, okay, we walk you through a bot that helps you determine what do we automate, what do we delegate, what do we eliminate, and what do we just suck it up and do, right? And then from there, you get the systems bot. And the systems bot is like, okay, based on automation, delegation, elimination, and what do you need to suck up and do, here's the entire system from start to finish of that process. And we document it and we build it and boom. So
Sweet.
that's where the time saving
Yeah.
comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I am just getting into that whole delegating and automating and all because I will show Sharon or even our assistant Talitha, I'll show my calendar and they're just both like, what is that?
So
How does this
can I tell you my favorite AI tool for calendar management? Oh my gosh, y'all. It's called Reclaim.
So
and
I
it is-
started to use that and then I got like yes, you have to tell me a little bit more on how you use that the best because I have it, but I found like it would put stuff places and I'd start moving stuff around and then I'd be like, well, I don't need to do that. And then it'd pop up somewhere else and I was like, yeah, I was getting frustrated and I'm like, I'm clearly not using it the way I need to be using it.
Well, in some ways, you have to trust the process. So obviously, I absolutely move things around, right? But for those of you who don't know what Reclaim is, so Reclaim is an AI-powered calendar management tool, and it reads your tasks that you can either input directly through Reclaim or you can put on your Google task list. I actually put them into Trello, and then Trello sends them automatically. Thank you, Zapier. But what it'll do is it will time block your tasks into your calendar around your meetings inside your available work time. And so it's an AI assistant that tells you what to do, when to do it, right? And how much time you have allotted to it. Now, if you are getting to a point where you're moving things around a lot, it's because you're not trusting that AI is like, hey, Erin, based on your schedule, based on the priority level with which you assigned said task, this is when you're supposed to be working on it. And you're like, yeah, but I don't want to work on that right now. And it's like, yes, but Erin, that's the critical task right now. For me, I am a classic overpromiser. Like I will tell everybody that I can get everything done by Friday.
Oh, yes.
That's not realistic. Yeah.
Right
And
here.
so the reason I love Reclaim is it's like, hey, Alison, if you want to be done by 4 p.m. every day this week, those 3 things aren't getting done until Monday. So you can either work more hours, you can reorganize priority wise what's most important to you, or you can just tell somebody that you're going to disappoint them. It's not going to be done by Friday. Right. And so it's the accountability part of it that really works well for me because I do move things. And it literally happened to me today. I have my husband's out of town and I was like, well, I'm going to be done by 3:00 every day so I can pick up my son from school and I can spend time with the kids afterwards. And then I'm looking at my calendar this morning and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not happening. We're back up to 4:30. Like it's just, realistic.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to get everything done this week. I needed to. And Reclaim was pointing that out to me, literally color-coded time block style. I couldn't deny it. So I would say that when it comes to calendar management, it is a phenomenal tool, but you have to pay attention to what it's telling you and you have to not resist it.
Yeah. And probably not put everything as high priority because I tend
Correct.
to do that too.
Correct. But this is another reason why it's actually a fabulous tool because it makes you really be like, okay, the weekly newsletter is high priority. Coffee chats, they're not as much. I got to get my work done. So coffee chats are going to be low priority. People can't book a coffee chat over a higher priority task, and you really have to you got to do that properly.
Right. So does it connect to your calendar then too, or like your calendar, like if you use Calendly or something like that?
So they have booking links. You can. They have booking links right inside, built in.
Okay.
And so I use it because that way you just get the most customization. I mean, their booking links are phenomenal. The way you can customize. Even with my coffee chats, people are a little upset with me right now. I'm booked out until January 2026 because I have it set that people can only externally book with me twice a week. I can book appointments during the week more than that, but external appointments coming in for coffee chats.
Right.
If I have 2 coffee chats on my calendar, you're not getting in this week to help me protect my time.
Right.
And I'm booked out until January. And I had someone actually message me and she's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, like it is what it is. So.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. You like have it down using all of it. I feel like I have to practice.
I went through a similar pain point like you did. Of course, there's the learning curve, but then there's that accountability where you sort of choke on it a little bit and you're like, I don't like using this tool. It's proving that what I'm doing isn't working. It's like showing it to me. And then you either drop off or you're like, okay, nope, I'm going to take the advice of the AI and I'm going to do the thing. And so there was a discipline that I had to get in place. I've been using it now over a year. I can't imagine life without it anymore. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
That's a great resource.
We call that AI addiction.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it. It's probably better than my coffee addiction.
Right. Much healthier, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us about all things AI, because this is like awesome. I got so much value out of everything that you were talking about. And we also are going to put in our show notes links to your LinkedIn, your website. So we'll bring people back to your templates and resources and anything else that you want to share. Because I mean, as you were talking, I was literally in my head bring up, oh, I have to go check that out on Alison's site, and I have to go check that out, and I have to go look at that service because
me too.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, so
it's kind of like I feel like I have some clients who I was like I could probably give them that service, like introduce them to Alison for that. So,
And I've been doing training. So if you get in my world, particularly on LinkedIn or get on my email list, you will get updates from doing monthly trainings. So sometimes they're, low cost. Like the last one was $23, right? And I taught something and you walked away with a bot and the knowledge on how to use that bot.
Yes.
And then quarterly, I do my free Be Your Own Boss Better webinar, which is, much bigger. And that one's free and people come to that or whatever. But being in my world and getting those monthly trainings would be a really great place for someone to start if they're like, hey, I tried your free bot. That's freaking cool. But I'm still really intimidated by this whole AI thing in a strategic way. Monthly trainings are where it's at. So
Yeah.
be in
Oh,
my
that's
world
awesome.
and you'll know all about them.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, thank you so much. And for everybody listening, we hope you tune in for the next episode. And Alison, we look forward to hopefully having you on again, maybe in season 2, so we can continue the conversation and find out all the new
Absolutely.
things.
Absolutely. Hopefully by then I'll be like, hey ladies, I'm licensed.
Yeah. You'll have everything licensed. It'll be
Yep.
all ready to go. Yep.
Absolutely.
hope.
Can't wait to hear about that.
Well,
Yes.
thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you guys.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you, Alison. Yeah.
You're so welcome. It was my pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.